Welcome to Empower You Crown Up. That is empower, the letter U underscore crown up. And this is where we believe in empowering minds to live empowered lives. So today we have a special guest on our episode, and we're just so excited to have her. Her name is Miss Kizzy. So without further ado, let us go ahead and introduce her. Hi, Kizzy. How are you?
Hi, Brittany. How are you? Thanks for having me today.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm just excited to have you. I don't know, it's something going around. People are fighting colds and all kind of things. So I'm like, "Ugh, we're maintaining."
Yes, it's that time of year. I don't know where you're located, but I'm in Washington, D.C., and Friday it was like 80 degrees. So we were showing off and cutting up and no coats. And now here we are with coats on again today. So,
That's crazy because I'm in Texas, and so one
okay.
minute it can be cold, next thing it's hot. It could be raining, the sun's out. I said,
Yes.
"Okay, do you think? Do you think?"
That's right. So I dress according to the weather, even though my mom would say this is pneumonia weather and you need to have a coat and a hat on at all times. So, yes, I guess I'm hard head.
That's funny. Well, tell us about you and what it is that you do.
Okay. I am, as you mentioned, Kizzy Dogan, and I am the owner of TNG Commercial Cleaning, which is a facilities maintenance company. I'm also the founder of Love Circle Inc., which is a nonprofit targeting youth that lost a parent before adulthood. And that could be because their parent passed away or their parent is incarcerated or just not able to care for them. And so that's where we step in and try to fill the gaps and support these youth so they can grow and be whole and healthy and live thriving lives. And I'm also an author of 13 Lessons for Every Teen Girl's Journey to Womanhood.
Oh
And
my
I
goodness.
know I just said a handful, but I'm a mom as well. So that's my most important job, being a mom. And I'm a new grandmother, and I can't even believe that I'm even saying that word, grandmother. And everybody's like, what are we going to call you? I said, nothing for now. I don't know what I'm going to be called. Just let the baby start talking first, and then we'll figure it out. So,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness, you just said so much. First of all, congratulations on your grandbaby. And
Thank
a mama of
you.
four, same here. It never ends, right? You're just constantly going, going, going.
Yes.
And then I love your book that you have. And I also wrote a book for teen girls called Stop the Drama, Stop Comparing, Focus on You. And that's to help
Yes.
girls to have that solid foundation. Because I was like, there's nothing really out here to push them to just have a good role model or good music.
Exactly. It's tough. It is tough. And it's even tougher from when I grew up, because I didn't have social media to worry about. I mean, and bullying wasn't a big thing. I mean, there may have been a little pass a little note with some ugly words on it, but that was the gist of it. Like we got through it, we survived. We didn't need therapy. Well, most of us didn't. I can't speak for all of us, but I didn't. But today is a little tough. And I'm a boy mom. I have three sons. And then the way I hear them talk about the girls, and I volunteer at the school and I see the young girls, I'm like, wow, they're a little different. These young ladies are a little different. And so they certainly need some guidance and support.
Right.
And
Not
I've,
reserved. Yeah.
yes,
And
I've
you're the
always been
same.
partial to the girls. Yes.
Yes. I have three boys too. So we are definitely the same.
Oh, nice. We have a
But you're
lot in
right.
common. Yeah.
Yes, but you're so right because I taught for 5 years and you're right, you see so much. And I mean, free dress day, honey. I was like, where are your clothes? Like, what? I'm like, did you do the whole change when you got here? They're like, no, my mama saw me walk out. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Yes. It's a lot different. And then I have to remind myself because my children, my oldest son is 26, and then I have twins that are 15. So it's two different generations.
Yes,
And so the moms now are younger. And I'm
right,
like, oh, I get it. Because I was the young mom with my oldest son
right.
compared to some of his friends. And I'm like, oh, these young moms something else because I don't understand this. So my mama would have never went for these things. So Yeah, it's different, but it's rewarding in the end
Yes.
because I
Mm-hmm.
understand what it is to navigate this world without, because my mom passed away when I was 14, so I get it, and it's tough. And fortunately for me, I come from a good family. I had love, I had support, but that's not the
Everybody
case
don't
for
have
so many. Everybody don't have that, so it's tough. And I just like,
that.
God bless me, help me.
Yes,
Yes.
and I love that with your organization because, I was just literally talking to an educator and they were telling me like these kids that are coming in, and I get to see it firsthand. I still go into the schools to do mental health and counseling.
Hmm.
And so many kids, they have just lost their mother or just lost their father, but most of them are losing their moms. And they're like just pushed off to another family or another family member or something. And then they're coming in trying to, start new on top of losing their parent. And
Hmm.
then what I'm finding that's even taken to another level is where students in that fourth, fifth, sixth grade level range, they start talking about the kid because they don't have parents.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
like, I just can't wrap my mind around how is that okay? Like that's why you don't have a mama, or that's why you don't have a daddy. And it just sets them off and it's a whole nother cycle.
Yes.
And so your organization is definitely needed.
Yes, thank you. I had been saying it for years. I'm going to start this organization, but I kept having it in my head as, okay, when I get to be a millionaire or multimillionaire, then I'll start this
Do
philanthropy
it now.
work.
That's right.
Hello, that was the craziest, but that was my thought process, and I was just putting it off. Oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. And
Mhm.
then one day, God said, "You
Do
gonna get
it.
it together? Like, what you gonna do? You gonna talk about it, or you gonna do it?" And so I said, "Okay, I'm doing it. Sign me up. I'm doing it." And so we're still very fresh, but it's just rewarding because I know. To your point, like these kids are just pushed off to another family member and they're trying to regroup. Although I had love and support, I nobody ever talked to me about grief. Are you grieving? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Like, what can we do for you? It was basically, I took a week off from school and it was back to business after that week. Like, after the funeral, 1 week off, and then I went right back to school.
Wow.
And I was supposed to excel and do well
That's
and
right.
all of these amazing things that I was had the expectations of doing, from my family. And then another thing is just like, okay, well, you got to make your mom proud and you got to do this and you got to do this. But so it's tough. And then if you
Yeah.
don't even have a good support system or good home life, it's even tougher. And I'm so that's the whole point. I'm thinking, wow, I know what I didn't have, and I know I could have benefited a great deal from it. So that's what we're trying to do. Just support these youth any way we can, support family, because a lot of, unfortunately, these young children are going to their grandparents
They are.
because they're
The
going to their
grandparents are
grandparents
tired. Okay.
and they're tired and they don't have the resources and they're on a fixed income
Right.
and it's a lot, and so then therefore they start to then raise themselves,
Hmm.
and we all know what that looks like, a 15-year-old girl raising herself. That means that a man is
Right.
manipulating and guiding her, and that's not always good.
That's
So
right.
yeah.
Yes, and you just reminded me one year when I first got into school counseling, and this was a high schooler, and I remember him just being so angry, like went off on the coach, everything. And
Hmm.
as a counselor role, you're that advocate. So I'm advocating for him once I understood, he had lost his parents and everything. And I remember going in speaking to the admin team, and they were just like, "Well, when did he lose them?" And I was like, "Well, last year, in December." And it was like, "Well, he should be over it by now." And I'm like, that hurt me so to my core because how can you tell somebody they should be over and you don't ever get over losing a loved one?
No, it's not a bike. It's not a little girlfriend, little puppy love. It's a mom or a dad. Like the most intricate part of you developing is from your
Right.
parents. They're the ones that give you your footing and everything. So yeah, that's tough. But that is how people think. Like, oh,
Mhm.
enough time has passed until they're in their shoes, and then
Right.
it's different. And then they're like, oh, I understand. Because,
Right.
even adults are grieving losing their parent. And I mean, I have somebody who mom lived past 100 and they're grieving tremendously. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, oh, I'm going to have her forever. She's over 100 years old and still thriving. And then all of a sudden she passes away. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, this is still painful. It's not, it's never easy, and you never get over it. So,
Yes. And you're right because I know in talking to so many adults, it's just like they say, it's the things that people say. And
mhm,
what I've gotten from the people that I have talked to, it's better to not say anything, just to be there and be that support if you don't know what to say.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. The one thing I got when I returned back to school after that week, all my friends, they were there and they was, rallying behind me and supporting me. So they thought. But the one thing I just kept hearing people like, I don't know what I would do if I lost my mom. I would just die. I would just kill myself. I don't know what I would do. I'm like, well, what y'all think I'm doing?
Right.
I'm
Yes.
barely holding it together, but I learned how to mask and internalize.
Mm.
That's what I learned from that experience. Internalize and mask the pain. So I'm always smiling. I'm always,
That's a
you
whole
know,
another episode right there.
yes.
Gosh, I just
So,
talked about that in December. I went to Atlanta and spoke at Author All Star,
mhm.
and I talked about breaking the chains of mass authenticity because we have been told to be so strong, put this mask on, and just show up and be
Yes.
Superwoman. But we're
Hmm.
hurting inside, and
Right.
it's painful, and you don't know who you can trust, who you can talk to, because you
Hmm.
might say something, well, "Ooh, girl, but
Yes.
I need to talk. I just need to vent."
That's right.
And then people
Yes.
will tell you, "Well, then you shouldn't be telling stuff that you don't want people to get out." But who can I should be able to talk and not fear that you're gonna go tell the whole world.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
So,
Definitely.
yes.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And
Yeah.
and that's another thing. I think that's probably why I internalize a lot. So and then I find myself, which is like 10 years from that incident or 5 years or whatever, and I'm still thinking about that thing that I have internalized and kept to myself, and I'm replaying it in my head like, dang, I should have said this, or why didn't I say this? Or then I have to say, okay, Kizzy, stop the crazy. It's it's 15 years old. Let it go. It's over with.
That is the reality, and I love how you said that because, people don't talk about that, but you're
Hmm.
human, that's the reality.
Yes.
Or you might wake up one day and somebody just trigger you and set you off, and you're like, "You know what? Maybe I need to have a wait to exhale moment, go burn some stuff."
Yes,
Then you're like, "Okay,
definitely.
bring it back down, bring it back to reality." Well, yes, but tell us that you always imagined that you would be this person as a child, being able to just have these organizations and be able to change lives.
No, no, I did not. I didn't envision growing up to become an entrepreneur. Honestly, I always thought I was going to be a career woman, and I don't know what that means, but in my head, I just knew I was going to wear suits to the office. I was going to be in the boardroom. I was going to just be running things and like a boss. That's what I thought. And not what we consider a boss today as an entrepreneur. No, I thought I was going to be like in corporate America somewhere. And I didn't even know what corporate America was, but I owe that to Dynasty, a show called Dynasty with Diane Carroll. And when I watched that and I saw how sophisticated she was and
Yeah.
very boss like, I was like, oh, that's who I'm going to be when I grow up. I don't know what she did on that show, but I know she was a sophisticated businesswoman. Maybe, I don't know, but it looked like she was. I
Commanding the
said,
room.
yeah, I said, that's me. So that's what I always envisioned. Like, I'm going to be a career woman. And then when I went off to college, I said, okay, I want to be a, a politician. And so I thought I was going to go into politics. I started, my major was political science. It turned out I hated history. And I said, well, maybe this isn't for me. But I kept pushing. And then I had a friend, a really good friend of mine, his dad, which I didn't realize it at the time, but he was a male chauvinist. And he said, Kizzy, women have no place in politics. Go be a lawyer, go be a doctor. Hell, be a secretary, but you can't be a politician. And so that rung in my head. And every time I went to history, and I was like,
You
oh,
hear that
God, this
voice.
is so much work. And I heard that voice and I said, well, he might got a point. Maybe this isn't for me. And so then I was like, okay, well, I'm giving up on politics and I'll just become a psychiatrist, right? I'm always been good with kids. I love people and whatever, I'll be a psychiatrist. Needless to say, I didn't become a politician nor a psychiatrist. I did work in corporate America for a short time in HR, but I didn't climb the ladder or I didn't even have a desire to do that.
Right.
And then when I had I worked in corporate America with my oldest son, but when I had the twins, I said, well, gee, I don't want to go back to work. I was telling my ex, my husband at the time, I was like, I don't want to go back to work. And he said, well, you better find a contract because he had his own business. He said, you better find me a contract. You better get some money. I said, challenge accepted, because I was determined I wasn't going back to work, right? I was like, I had kept extending my maternity leave, and my boss at the time said, this is it. You got one more week. And if you do not come back, we are going to terminate you. And I said, okay, I'll be back next week. And at the same, I was just clicking. Okay, how do I get a contract? What am I do? So I got a contract, and then from that I was just like, oh, I could do this entrepreneur thing. It came so easy, right? Needless to say, it's not easy. It is not for the weak. I will tell you that. That's why I don't like this generation that's pushing entrepreneurship. I mean, it's great.
Because you have to have the mindset.
Yes, it's not easy. You need to definitely have a strong work ethic because it is not easy. And there are some days I want to just go work at Walmart. Like, Lord,
if I work these hours, I'm going to get this paycheck, and this paycheck is coming on this date, right?
I don't want to be responsible for all these people, and I'm like, wow. But so here we are. And then I never desired to become an author. I really had no desire, and I still am shocked sometimes. I'm like, dang, I really am an author. Like, I have to remind myself I did write a book.
Yeah.
Oh, I should, and I'm like, okay, I was big stuff, but really that was God speaking to me one day. I'm just minding my business, dropping my kids off at school, literally, and God spoke to me and said, you're gonna write this book. You like, basically, because I'm always talking to young girls, I'm always mentoring them, and you're going to write a book, but just a book of advice, simple advice to help them navigate through their teen years. And at first I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. Like, I'm not qualified. And then he was like, you are very well qualified. Right. Aren't you a girl? Wasn't you 13 before you? Don't you know the advice you wish you had? What do you mean? And I was like, okay. Yeah. And so I really, that took my faith right there. It really tested me, because I was just like,
and that's how God works, right?
Yes.
He will provide the provision. He will qualify,
Yes,
so
definitely.
Ones that to others seem unqualified, but you are qualified. So, and that's the ones that people want to hear from, right? The ones
That's right.
Yeah. So as we come to a close, how can our audience stay in contact with you and work with you further?
Oh, that would be great. I am mostly on Instagram. And so my Instagram handle is at I am Kizzy Dogan, which is KIZZYDOGAN. Very simple. I am Kizzy Dogan. And then my website is www.kizzykdogan.com.
All right. KizzyKDogan.com. Love
Yes.
it. Love it.
Yes.
So also before we close, tell us what are some empowering words you would love to leave with our audience today?
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. I always have so much to say, right? But then when the question is asked, I'm like, what I would say to anyone listening is that you are absolutely enough and love yourself and believe in yourself.
Mm, I love that.
That's what I want your audience to know. They are
Mm,
absolutely enough and to love themselves and believe in themselves.
mm. 'Cause it starts with you. It does.
Yes, that's the
Ah,
best love. Self love is the best love.
well, Kizzy, I'm so glad to have you on our show today, and we will definitely look forward to having you again. Thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.